Good morning. Popular support across the world for the United States is in free fall. And this comes at a time when American diplomats are booking flights and meetings, trying to lock up trade deals that give U.S. firms access to other countries' rare earth deposits. The problems are at the top down in global surveys of attitudes toward President Trump himself. They surveyed citizens in 24 countries and asked if they have confidence in the White House to do the right thing regarding world affairs. Big drops were noted for Mexico, Poland, and Canada. Nigerians gave him the highest score. 79% of Nigerians believe so. He's also very popular in Israel, with 69% of Israelis sharing confidence in Trump. But that in itself is a double-edged sword. Israel and Turkey are in the Middle East and friendly, notionally anyway. Israel is 69% confident. Turkey, a NATO country, is 80% the other way. Public perception of Washington is in steep decline across the world, but for Tel Aviv, it's collapsed completely. These data are just as bad. Surveys of over 100,000 people in 100 countries. China is more popular across the world than the United States, starting last year and accelerating ever since. Here's a map of that survey. Apparently they did not ask the Russians or the Mongolians, because no doubt those would be red. Iran too. We're looking now at Turkey to clearly illustrate this problem. Turkey shows up in red. They're more friendly with China. But we've lately got big news from Turkey for the rare earth minerals race. Engineers there are still confirming if a huge deposit of rare earth oxides is as big as it seems. It could be as large as 12 million tons. And if that's the number, Turkey suddenly moves up to third place in this table of top countries with proven rare earth reserves. The top countries then would be China, Brazil, Turkey, Australia, Russia, Vietnam. Turkey's energy minister is already in talks with China, mentioned first, along with the United States and Europe. This is a new discovery for Turkey, but already the Turks are faced with the same question that the other resource-rich countries are confronting for themselves. How eager is anyone, anywhere, to supply Pentagon contractors with the raw materials they're going to be turned into bombs and missiles today, and which will be dropped tomorrow in Gaza or in Ukraine? It's now common knowledge that China's export bans on rare earth metals and magnets have caused severe supply chain disruptions for the Pentagon and for other global weapons makers. That's the supply side. Defense contractors don't have the materials they need from domestic suppliers to build modern munitions at all. But this is a candle we are burning at both ends because of the problems on the demand side. The United States is burning through its supplies of interceptor missiles because of its open-ended commitments to Israel and Ukraine. We have linked before to Mike Fredenberg's work, and we're including those links again in the description. And these are very sobering analyses of how our stockpiles of missiles have been decimated just in the past few years. November of last year, then an update in August with new numbers from the Houthi operations to keep the Suez open. This is from October 2025. The Pentagon wants to double or quadruple production rates of missiles to prepare for possible war against China. They need much faster production for 12 missile types. Experts say nothing is going to happen soon. And Mike Fredenberg just needed to quote his own work, basically, to remind the world of the problems the Pentagon's got. He says it would take 4 years or more to double production, and a quadrupling is a fantasy. We burnt through the missiles. Israel's war on Gaza and Iran, plus the Houthis, took down a third of the Pentagon's SM-3 stockpiles and 17% of the SM-6s. The THAAD is the High Altitude Area Defense, and Israel burned through a fourth of those just trying to shoot down inbounds from Iran. The Pentagon's inventory of Patriot missiles is down to just 25%. So 3/4 of those are gone, mostly to Ukraine. Building it all back won't be fast, and it won't be cheap. Each Patriot costs several $1 million, and an SM-6 runs $4.3 million per. We've run out of interceptor missiles at the high end, and on the other, the Defense Department is trying to get artillery shell production back on track. 155 millimeter shells are easy compared to high altitude missiles, and they're already behind on the plans to produce more of those. Those munitions require antimony, and China has a hard stop on exports of that going to arms makers. So where does this leave Turkey and the other countries like Turkey who have large deposits of rare earths? Here are those numbers from Turkey again. Confidence in the White House, 80% don't have any. What do the Turks think about Israel? 93% unfavorable. 84% very unfavorable. Is there even a point in asking how popular it would be there to sign deals with American companies that are going to turn Turkish rare earths into weapons that will be handed over to the Israelis? We shared before how Trump's trade deals with Malaysia and Thailand were immediately condemned by the opposition parties in those countries, who accused their own governments of surrendering sovereign resources. Behind the scenes, President Trump threatened continued and higher tariffs to sign the documents in which both nations agree to offer U.S. companies the right of first refusal for investment or extraction or purchase. That part right there probably blew up big investments that were heading Malaysia's way from China. But the reason the deals caused so many problems for the PMs of Malaysia and Thailand is that the United States is less popular there than China is. Opposition parties seized on the issue because they know where public opinion is. The trade agreements contained a written provision that says the United States can deny third countries access to the rare earth metals. But the Malaysia Prime Minister is insisting there is not. Thailand says the agreement is not binding on any point. The White House now says the same thing. Neither agreement is legally binding. And so we're left to wonder what the point of it all was, except to annoy everyone in Asia in exchange for some good headlines back home. And that's another problem. Resource-rich countries see China as a partner that actually does build and does invest, and that those investments tend to come with no strings attached. That's the polar opposite for U.S. investments, which are more aggressive and come with lots of conditions. The opportunity for Turkey and for Malaysia and for Thailand and scores of other countries is that there are many buyers for what they have under the ground. Car makers, energy companies, telecommunications firms, semiconductor manufacturers. They need all they can get. Lots of people making lots of things that actually make the world a better place instead of worse. This is Xi'an. Be good.
Stronger believers to encourage us and to love us. Give us good teachers. Give us strong ministers who remind us daily to lift up our leaders in prayer, the political leadership on this earth, the bosses and managers in our companies, the mayors and police in our towns, the governors and kings and presidents,